Imagine standing inside a dimly lit office in Cleveland, Ohio in 1872. The air smells of coal oil and desperation. On one side of the street, a young man in a black suit, only 33 years old, is calmly writing numbers in a ledger. On the other side, 26 independent oil refiners are about to go bankrupt before the week ends. That young man's name is John Davison Rockefeller, and by the time he dies, he will control 90% of all oil refined in the United States. But here's what most history books won't tell you. He wasn't a swaggering tycoon, nor a cartoon villain. He was a quiet, deeply religious bookkeeper who cried when his profits hit $1 million, not from joy, but from the weight of responsibility. So the question that drives this entire journey is not just how he became the world's first billionaire. It's why a man who gave away half his fortune still died hated by many, yet revered by more. This is the making of the Rockefeller legacy. This is the blueprint of monopoly, money, and meaning. We begin not with oil, but with a con man. In 1855, 16-year-old John leaves high school in Cleveland to take a 10-week business course. His father, William Big Bill Rockefeller, is a traveling snake oil salesman who sells false cures, claims to be a deaf mute to avoid debts, and rarely comes home. Big Bill once bragged, "I cheat my boys every chance I get. I want to make them sharp." That's the psychological crucible of young John. He grows up watching charm without integrity, and he decides to become the opposite: cold, precise, utterly trustworthy in business, even if ruthless. At age 16, he gets his first job as an assistant bookkeeper for Hewitt and Tuttle, a produce commission firm. His starting wage, 50 cents a day. But here's the first engagement trigger. Within 3 months, he's already lending money to his boss. By 19, he starts his own produce business with a partner, Maurice Clark. In their first year, they gross $450,000. That's over $12 million today. Rockefeller is not yet 20 years old, and he's already learned lesson 1. Cash flow is king. He pays suppliers early to get discounts, borrows at low rates because his books are impeccable, and never speculates. He hates gambling. He loves control. The oil moment arrives in 1863. Cleveland is a railroad hub. Pennsylvania has just struck black gold. Oil wells are gushing crude, but crude is worthless until refined into kerosene, the light of the 19th century. Every farmer, every factory, every home needs kerosene. But the refining business is chaos. 300 small refineries in Cleveland alone, each leaking waste, setting fires, and driving prices down. Rockefeller sees something others miss. He visits a refinery, watches the vats and pipes, and says nothing for hours. Later, he tells Clark, the way to make money in oil is not to drill wells. That's a gamble. The way is to refine, store, and ship. Control the process, control the profit. So in 1865, at age 25, he buys out Clark for $72,500 at an auction. His heart is pounding so hard, he later writes, "I felt as if every drop of blood had been pressed out of me." But he wins, and overnight, Rockefeller and Andrews is born. That same year, he secretly borrows money to expand. He builds the largest refinery in Cleveland, and then he does something that changes business forever. He asks for rebates from the railroads.
Now, pause here. In the 1870s, railroads are the internet of their day. They move everything. If you ship volume, you get a discount. Standard Oil, as Rockefeller renames his company in 1870, is shipping massive amounts of kerosene. So Rockefeller goes to the Lakeshore Railroad and says, "Give me a 50% discount off published rates and I will fill your trains every day, not just when you have space." They agree. Then he goes to the competing railroads and says, "Give me an even deeper discount or I'll give all my business to Lakeshore." They cave. But the killer move is this. He also asks for drawbacks, a secret rebate on every barrel shipped by his competitors. Yes, he makes the railroads pay him a commission for every barrel his rivals send. That is not illegal at the time, but it is genius, and it's predatory. Because now, if a competitor's cost to ship a barrel is $1, Rockefeller's cost is 30 cents. He lowers his kerosene price to just below theirs. They lose money on every sale. Within months, they come to him begging for mercy, and Rockefeller offers them a choice. Sell me your refinery for cash, or I will drive you to bankruptcy and buy it for pennies. By 1872, in what history calls the Cleveland Massacre, he absorbs 22 of his 26 competitors in 6 weeks. He doesn't gloat. He goes to church every Sunday, teaches Sunday school, and writes checks to charity. But in his office, he is an executioner in a bowler hat. Here's the psychological hook for a modern audience. Rockefeller didn't just want to be rich, he wanted to eliminate waste. He believed competition was a form of inefficiency. Duplicate railroads, duplicate pipelines, duplicate sales forces, all of it costing consumers more. He told a congressional hearing later, "The American beauty rose can be produced in its splendor only by sacrificing the early buds that grow up around it. This is not an evil tendency in business. It is merely the working out of a law of nature." That's social Darwinism before Darwin was popular, and it's why you, watching in 2024, still live in a world of monopolies. Amazon, Google, Meta. Rockefeller wrote their playbook. But here's the twist. As he crushes competition, he also drives down the price of kerosene from 58 cents a gallon to 8 cents a gallon. He illuminates America's homes for less than a penny an hour. The poor can now read at night. Factories can run 2 shifts. So who's the villain? The man who kills jobs or the man who lights the world? By 1899, Standard Oil controls 90% of U.S. refining. Rockefeller is 39 years old. He owns his own pipelines, tank cars, barrel factories, and even the forests for those barrels. He integrates vertically, every step from well to lamp. He also integrates horizontally, buying every competitor. He is, in the modern term, a platform, and he does it all with a calm, obsessive attention to detail. He saves money by buying his own tin for cans. He saves $1 million a year by making his own sulfuric acid. He sends clerks to buy sealing wax in bulk from Europe. He once noticed that his cooperage, barrel-making factory, used 40 drops of solder per barrel. He asked for an experiment. Can we do 39? They could. That saved him $2,000 in 1871, over $50,000 today. Multiply that obsession across every process, and you get a machine that cannot be beaten. But the machine has a human cost. In 1882, a journalist named Henry Demarest Lloyd writes an exposé called The Story of a Great Monopoly for The Atlantic. He calls Rockefeller the greatest criminal of the century. He describes how Standard Oil spies on rivals, uses dummy companies to buy up leases, and bribes legislators. And for the first time, the public turns on Rockefeller. He is shocked. He genuinely believes he is a benefactor. He writes to a friend, "I have tried to do right. Why do they call me a monster?" That disconnect between his self-image and the public's rage is the tragic core of the billionaire journey. Now we arrive at the 1890s. The Sherman Antitrust Act passes in 1890. Ohio's Attorney General sues Standard Oil. Rockefeller, ever the tactician, doesn't fight. He outmaneuvers. He moves Standard Oil's headquarters to New Jersey, where trust laws are friendlier. He creates a holding company, a legal shell that owns stock in all the refineries. The refineries remain separate in name, but one man controls them all. It's the birth of the modern corporate structure. By 1896, at age 57, Rockefeller retires from daily operations. He's worth nearly $200 million. That's $6 billion today. But he's exhausted. He loses all his hair. His digestion collapses. He can only eat crackers and milk.
He says, "I've made all the money I can ever use. Now I must give it away." And here is the second act of his life, more fascinating than the first. Between 1897 and 1937, John D. Rockefeller gives away $540 million. That's $15 billion in today's money. He funds the University of Chicago, pouring $80 million into it, turning a small Baptist college into a world-class institution. He creates the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research, now Rockefeller University, which will later discover vaccines for meningitis and yellow fever. He donates $50 million to fight hookworm in the American South. He gives millions to historically black colleges like Spelman, named after his wife's family, because Laura Spelman was an abolitionist's daughter. He pays for the restoration of Versailles. He builds the modern system of public health in China, but the public remembers only the monopoly. In 1911, the U.S. Supreme Court finally breaks up Standard Oil into 34 separate companies. Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, Amoco, all of them are Rockefeller's shattered empire. He is 71 years old. Reporters ask for a comment. He says nothing. He goes out to play golf because he knows something they don't. The stock in those 34 companies will be worth more in pieces than it ever was as one. In fact, within a decade, his net worth doubles. He becomes the world's first billionaire, a word invented just for him. In 1916, Forbes estimates his wealth at $1.2 billion. That's 1.5% of the entire U.S. economy. To match that share today, you'd need a net worth of over $400 billion, more than Bezos, Musk, and Gates.
But let's not mistake money for peace. In his final years, Rockefeller lives at Kykuit, his estate in Pocatalico Hills, New York. He wakes at 5 a.m., eats his milk and crackers, and tends to his gardens. He gives dimes to children, a habit that turns into a PR campaign to soften his image. But the children often cry because the old man's hands tremble and he has no eyebrows left. Alopecia took them. He looks like a ghost, and yet he keeps giving. He signs checks until his signature is a shaky scrawl. On May 23, 1937, he dies in his sleep at 97. A caretaker finds him. The world headlines say, "Rockefeller dies at 97, richest man in history." But the obituaries are mixed. Some praise his philanthropy. Others say he stole his fortune. One cartoon shows him at the gates of heaven with a suitcase labeled Monopoly Money, and St. Peter saying, "We'll have to check the antitrust laws up here." Here's why this story matters to you right now in 2024. You are living through a second Gilded Age. Tech billionaires are building platforms, crushing rivals, and then donating to museums and medical research. Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they are all Rockefeller's spiritual heirs. The question of how much wealth one person can control and whether philanthropy absolves monopoly is still open. But Rockefeller left one final lesson hidden in his private papers. In 1905, he wrote a letter to his son, John Jr., that was never meant for the public. He said, "The secret of success is not in making money. It's in seeing the invisible hand of order in chaos. In every barrel of oil, there is a lamp. In every competitor, there is a partner who does not yet know it. In every dollar, there is a life that could be saved. But you must be hard enough to take the dollar and wise enough to give it away. That is the double burden of the billionaire. Most cannot carry it. I almost did not." He folded the letter, locked it in a safe, and went back to counting dimes. So, here we are at the end of the journey. John D. Rockefeller was not a hero. He was not a villain. He was a system. He saw the industrial world as a machine, and he became its most efficient gear. He destroyed lives and lit up cities. He stole futures and funded cures. And in doing so, he posed a question that no billionaire since has answered. If you can own the world, but you cannot take it with you, then what is the point of the journey? For him, the answer was written on his grave,
a simple stone in Cleveland's Lakeview Cemetery. No mention of Standard Oil, no mention of billions. It says, "I was born in the wilderness and I have tried to make it bloom." Whether he succeeded or not depends on whether you see the roses or the thorns. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the men who shaped our economy, hit like and subscribe to Brand Story Lab. We turn corporate history into human drama. Tell us in the comments, was Rockefeller a ruthless predator or a visionary philanthropist? Or is the truth somewhere in the oil-stained middle? Next week, we're telling the story of Andrew Carnegie, the steel titan who gave away libraries but broke unions. That's a battle you won't want to miss. Until then, remember, every fortune tells a story, and every story has a hidden ledger. Thanks for watching.